Welcome to Sixx Days. I am Bob Sixx. Today, I'm just going to jump right into it and talk about that dad in Ohio that videotaped his punishment of his daughter. I'm on both sides of the fence with this one. Number one, most important, I agree 100% with the punishment. He didn't hurt her, gave her time to think, a lot of time to think, and he was there with her the entire time, so she was never in any danger. That was a good punishment. I'm all about alternative punishments because I do not think children should go unpunished, especially for shit like that. Bullying, they need discipline. So, and I don't mean getting the shit beat out of them like I did when I was little. That was abuse. That was not punishment. I've said it before and I'll say it again. For those of you who say, well, my dad beat the shit out of me and I turned out just fine. No, you didn't. Now, we'll talk more about discipline in a minute, but I want to point out that on the other end of the spectrum and where he went totally wrong, the fucking train came off the tracks, was videotaping it and putting it on YouTube for everyone to see. You do not do shit like that to your kids. When you discipline your kids, that's in private. Now, let me say, his videotaping it was a good idea just in case she got to school and said, well, my daddy did this and my daddy did that. He'd have video proof. No, I just fucking made her walk. Before anybody says, oh, it's cold. As bad as I hate the cold, I've walked to school in super cold weather. I know. I've ridden my bike in super cold weather. So fucking cold my hands didn't want to open on the handlebars when I got to school. I walked 20 miles to school, uphill both ways. Whoa! Point is, she was fine. She had a coat on. She went out there in a pair of shorts and a tank top and flip-flops. She was dressed for cold weather. So, that part's fine. The videotaping is fine, so you have proof that you didn't hurt your daughter. But as soon as you put it on YouTube, you fucked up. Now, your daughter is going to be open for all sorts of ridicule. That was bad, wrong, bad parenting choice, horrible. I can't even think of a logical reason why you would do that. I would never discipline my children that way, ever. I can't stress, I'm trying not to cuss as much as I normally do. I know I've already done it a bunch, and people are going, well, I don't want to watch this guy. He says fuck too much. I'm not for you people that get offended by that too much. You don't discipline your children in public like that. I'm not saying let your kids skate free and get away with shit, but you don't whoop your kid in public, pop them, whatever you choose to do. You don't do that. You take them in private and you handle it in private. It should be a private matter. But your children do need to be disciplined. I disciplined our children and I chose alternative ways because having the shit beat out of me all the time with the belt when I was little, and my dad didn't do that. My biological father did that. My dad had a whole different way. And I'm not saying it was the best, but he didn't abuse me like Bob did. So, I know the difference. Now, don't get me wrong. I did spank my kids, and I didn't spank them every time. You had to do it to where it had an impact. Because I know from personal experience, if you get beat all the time, it doesn't discourage you from doing anything. I figured I was going to get my ass beat. Might as well jump in with both feet. Do it anyways. So, up until about age 8, I say spanking's fine, but not with the belt. And for those of you that go, well, my parents used the belt on me, and belts are just fine. Go into public, or not even in public. Hit your best friend with a belt. Well, your best friend might not. He might tolerate it. Just hit a general friend with a belt. That's called assault, boys and girls, and you will go to jail. So if you'll go to jail for doing it to another adult, what makes it okay for you to do it to your kids? It don't. Again, not saying let them skate free. I used a wooden spoon on my kids because couldn't get enough momentum, and it was more the symbolism of spanking them that worked. But I did it sporadically. I didn't do it all the time. Every time they did something, I chose a different punishment. For example, one time, and this is 100% true story, my kids were digging on each other, getting into it all the time for the whole day over that period. So I made them go outside and pick up dog shit as a team. One held the bucket, one picked up the dog shit. Now I did give them a shovel. And I told them that would give them a visual representation of how they were treating each other. So now to work as a team and pick up all the dog shit. My son complained once, not to me. He complained to my wife, and I told him that I'd take the shovel away and he'd have to use his bare hands. He didn't say nothing else. He waited till I went inside and told my wife, "Dad's too country. That's gross." But you know what? They treated each other better. I'm not saying they don't. They didn't ever have issues. Everybody does. You're supposed to. It's healthy. But they didn't sit there and dig on each other like they did that day. There's other things you can do. You don't have to physically harm your child. Now when they're little, that little pop on their hand, and don't grab this, don't touch that, that's fine. I'm not talking about hurting your child. If you fucking put bruises or welts on your kids, you're doing too much. But yes, I agree, children need discipline. And what that dad did, that was outstanding. For bullying, that's an appropriate punishment. To let her know, riding the bus is not a right, it's a privilege. Getting a ride in the car is not a right, it's a privilege. She learned her lesson. However, I think there's going to be a whole bunch of fallout from this. And I'm not talking about all you little whiny ass people out there in YouTube land that go, because I read a bunch of the comments on the video, call CPS, they need to take that little girl away from him, and all that kind of shit. I bet a lot of the people that are complaining don't even fucking have kids. And if you don't have kids, you can't be telling other people how to raise their kids, okay? Alrighty then. So, while I do think that was the appropriate punishment, because he didn't harm her, it had a huge impact on her, posting it on YouTube is fucked up. Never belittle your children or humiliate them in such a way. Don't smack them in public. Don't whoop them in public. Don't scream at them in public. That shit's insane. I cannot stand to see a parent do that. There's been several times right before I started to get involved, and you may be going, well, you don't have the right. I know what it's like to be an abused child, and I can't fucking stand to stand by and watch that happen to another child. Granted, I turned out okay. I'm in the head, but I worked through my issues, and I didn't abuse my children, and I don't abuse my granddaughter. And I would never, ever put any kind of punishment on YouTube. YouTube is for entertainment. Your child being disciplined is not entertainment, but it's also for instructions. So, hey, this is an instructional video on how you should not abuse your children or humiliate them. Okay? Alrighty then. So, for all of you that got up on that high horse and you're shitting all over that dad, yes, he was wrong and deserves all the shit he's going to catch for putting it on YouTube. Because there's no logical reason to do that. But, as far as the discipline went, that was an appropriate discipline, and I agree 110% on what he did. Because hell, I probably would have done that to my kids too. Anyways, we're climbing up. We're only 15 away before I reach that first milestone, and I give away a $90 pin. So, tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell your enemies, tell everybody to come check out my page and subscribe, or my channel, sorry, my channel, and subscribe. I appreciate those of you that are watching. I hope you have a great day. And remember, if you get the chance, make someone laugh. Until next time, I am Bob Sixx. Peace!